Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Um, so what I reckon I'll do is I won't just start yet with what I give people, like with the recording. I'll kind of edit out this part.
Mhm.
How's your day been?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. What about yours?
It's been productive. I
That's
got my
really
kind of like what you're talking about your stuff, doing daily steps. So I've been there's these daily exercise things that I do every day. So like there's the push-ups, stretches, punching bag stuff, reading a chapter of a book, um, drinking a certain amount of water. And I made sure that I got extra sleep today because I've been really kind of pushing it throughout the week.
yeah. So,
But
how
yeah,
do
like I really,
you earn your income then? Like, if you work for yourself, do you also earn your income through the group?
yeah, um,
That's awesome.
because we still can't leave our house for more than four reasons,
Uh,
and so there's particular workplaces that we can't go to. So I do most of my stuff from the backyard just with my phone. So whether it's videos, just kind of walking around doing a video, or my phone in the pocket with my headphones in my head, just like coaching people.
yeah, that's awesome. Do you
But
have
I've
any
actually, sorry,
do you have any other income or do you just have your own business?
just that. So I've been doing that for 10 years.
Oh my God, wow.
Yeah, it's been really good, and I've actually done better in the last couple of months than I've almost ever done because I could sort of see that because I was just only seeing people from my office, and with the lockdown stuff, I just kind of stopped working for a while, and I sort of realized I'm going to have to do something to get my act together, and so I basically just got very organized. I got my diary and I made sure that I was kind of putting daily steps in, and kind of very similar to what you do, just like with posting in various groups and stuff and like running challenges. But yeah, I've been more active than ever, probably in the last couple of months.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, there's various programs. Like there's things for that are just like $450. Some that's like 2.5 grand, and some that are kind of 15 grand, and different programs like that.
Are you serious? 15 grand, that's a lot.
I feel like a business program, so people will do like 30 months of $500.
Wow. And what are you helping them with? Like, are you just helping
Mainly,
coaches and healers and consultants?
yeah. So mainly business coaching. So I started off in hypnotherapy, just doing addiction work. So seeing smokers and getting off cigarettes, and I've seen in the last 10 years about 4,000 smokers.
Oh,
And then yeah, so since then a few years after I'd started that, I started doing the business coaching stuff because I got to become a lecturer at the Academy of Hypnotic Science, and they then asked me to do business coaching.
that's
What's
so
kind of interesting is that if you teach someone business stuff, they ask you about how to get your client a result. Then if you teach them how to get your client a result, they ask you about the marketing. So it's like that, one question brings up another.
yeah. Do you have like a website or is it literally the only place you advertise is the group?
Mainly it's just my group. And then my email list as well, because like when people join the group or something, I kind of I just get them onto my email list as well. So um
And do you
and
make
yeah, I just like write.
email list?
Sorry.
Do you make sales through your email list?
Yeah, last Christmas and December, like I ended up not seeing anybody face to face or doing sort of any coaching. So I've got these online courses that I sell. And so I was doing something like about 2 grand a week just through my emails, just by selling online courses.
What the
So I
heck?
just scheduled the emails and I just went away for camp trips because I just sort of worked pretty hard and I just wanted a break. And so I just set up the email list and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's kind
Yeah.
of cool. I mean, it's all out there, but the confidence stuff really sort of makes or breaks it.
Mm. Yeah,
Because I had a coach that, how sometimes you try to call a particular type of person into your life and they sort of just show up. I
yeah,
don't know if you've ever done that. Like, could be any category, but
yeah.
there was I wanted kind of like particular coaches to teach me things and then show up, but then go, but why isn't there one sort of in Australia that I can actually come and see personally? And so there was a guy in Melbourne, not too far from me, that he was doing something like $10 million a year at age 24. And his program's about 20 grand. So I went and joined his program. Then he does like seminars around the world. And when you join his program, you got to follow him. So the first one he did in Melbourne, so I didn't have to travel. I just sort of hopped on a train and, half an hour later I was there. But the next one was in Switzerland. And that was pretty expensive because like you got to go to this 5-star hotel.
Wow.
And then we did then Sydney, then Hawaii. But he taught me that the missing element for a lot of people isn't just the how-to steps. It's like that to them, it's not real yet. Like the only reason it's not real is because they haven't made it real. And so that if it's not real to them, like they drop in standards and all sorts of things versus kind of making a real commitment where you go, I'm going to do it. Because like once you've made your first sale, you go like, okay, well, I'm in now. This is what I do.
That's really powerful. And is that what made the flip for you? Like, were you struggling for a long time with business prior to doing that course, or like what made
Yeah,
it
so
for you?
I was doing pretty good, but he really helped me with the breakthrough because I'd studied something like 60 online courses, and like whenever there was like a course, I'd just buy it and study it. And so I'd learned about video editing and how to write sales copy and ads and how to speak and just anything I could get my hands on. So then he told me that I knew more about marketing than him. It's just that I wasn't earning much. Like I was doing like about, 1,500 a week, and he was doing like, 80 grand weeks. And like, he was just saying like, the difference is that, you're not making it real. So literally, I only had to ask him a few questions, and that really helps. Like one thing he said that you've got to learn to sell and not make it a big scary thing. It's like that puts a lot of people off, just the whole idea of like, sell yourself, or whether you promote yourself in a video or on a phone call, pitch yourself to somebody. They could say yes or no. It kind of doesn't matter, but you could at least ask. And the second one was like he said, get a bigger list of people to sell to. So like, put out freebies. And then he was basically telling me he wanted me to spend like $1,000 a week just pushing my ads out there to grow my list. So that's not like ads to basically for people to buy my program. He was basically saying, put out ads that just grow your list. And then you just kind of send them videos and send them emails. And then sell. So have you heard of Brendan Burchard? Yeah, so I started doing that. It was hard at first because I hadn't sort of like gotten I hadn't got the hang of the selling part. So to kind of get your head around like doing, these leads targets or marketing targets, then doing these sales targets, and then coaching people, it was just a lot.
Yeah.
And so as people were coming through the program, that it was kind of dividing people into like maybe 5 or 10% of them that would sort of break through and get it, and the others it was sort of broke.
But like, if you were doing things just to grow your following, like following you where? Like Facebook, Instagram, your group, what was it?
So I mainly did everything through Facebook.
Yeah.
So what I found is like if I just write an ebook every now and then, and did a video to promote it, and then did a post to promote it, those posts and videos would go fairly viral. I had one that just organically, because you know how like now when you do a Facebook Live video, it used to be like about 3 or 4 years ago, you might get just like between 300 to 1,000 views, even if you've got no headline on it. And even if the video is not that good, even if it takes you 15 minutes to get to the point, you still got like something like 1,000 views. But these days, if you do a video, it might get, like maybe between 30 to 200 views. And so what I found is like that there's a particular way of getting the videos to go more viral. And so, I mean, like there was like 5 different sort of elements that the video actually needed. One was that, engagement was the biggest, but like there's headline and engagement. So like the headline needs to get to the point very quickly and say kind of like, what is it about and what's the point? So what I found is that like the first rule I followed was never post again unless you're solving a problem. Because I was talking to like an addiction community, I put out a video that it got something like about nearly 30,000 views or something just organically. just because I basically, and this is like without even putting any money on it. And if I put money on it, it would go further. But I basically made the headline something like the 4 emotional triggers to cure addiction. And then after that, there was a blank line that I said, type I'm in to download my free ebook called The 4 Emotional Cures to Addiction.
That's so smart.
Yeah. Because then now Facebook seems to be that there's people that used to rely on the fact they had like 1 million followers, like, and when they had or that many likes on their page, they could put out anything and people would just see it because like there wasn't that many people on Facebook. And so anything you posted would just get shown to everybody. Now there's like a lot more people that have, that many views, also that many likes on the page. So kind of like every single post has to earn its own engagement, because you watch like there's people that have like 1 million or 5 million likes on their page, and they do a post and maybe like 10 people like it. But then every week, I could put out one post and say, type I'm in to download my either ebook or video, and I would get 200 or 300 people saying I'm in.
Really cool.
And yeah, and that would grow my group, because like I would post that in my group, and then I found like there was about like 10 really great Facebook groups that would let you promote yourself once a week. So that if I found that the previous week I had one really, really good post that went fairly viral in my group, I would share that post into the other 10 groups.
Wow. That's really smart.
Um,
So you mainly
yeah.
would create a video or an ebook and then pay for advertising, and then once you got them, you sort of invited them to your group and it went from there.
Yeah. So before I would pay for advertising, I would just like do a bunch of posts offering something, and I'd see like which one people cared about, because one of them might get like, only 2 people interacting with it, and another one gets like 300 or something. So once I found one that had about 300 people engaging with it, I've gone, all right, now I'm going to pay to push that one out. So I then have to instead of doing it on my group, I had to, because you know how you can only make ads from your page, you can't make ads from your group for some reason. So I would basically make a copy of it, put it on my page, and then pay to push that ad out. And that worked really well. And yeah, so I basically had I'd break it into like 3 things, like 3 T's. I'd go traffic, trust, and transaction. So that was like my traffic step. My trust was then I would then give them a 4 video series or something. So like with the 4th video as a sales offer, like I'd go like, here's an ebook and then here's a video. So every now and then I just sort of go, well, here's a teach thing. So I'm just going to film a video and send it to the list, or do a video and send it to my group. And then once a month, I would do basically like a sales cycle. So from there, I would then get them to join my, my 2.5K one, and charging people like, something between 250 a month or 500 a month. It seems to be an amount that people are pretty comfy with. Like something like people seem to have at least $100 a week.
Yeah.
And in order to, like, if you're helping them with business, if you're helping them earn money back, then they don't care how much you charge.
Yeah.
So the key, I can earn money very quickly by taking money from them, but then my job is to make sure that they are also earning money as well. And the steps are pretty easy, especially because I've been like doing them for 10 years or something. One of the bigger challenges is getting people to show up to those steps.
Yeah.
And so what I've found is you can't teach too much too quickly. It's like if people, they're used to drinking out of a tiny little trickling water fountain, and then you get like the fireman hose and just blast them with that and say, drink out of that. And it's like, it's too much. And depending on what skills they need to learn, like maybe they need to learn how to speak or write or do a web page or set up a merchant, or how to actually, if they're doing hypnotherapy or coaching or NLP, they have to learn that skill too. So if they're a student in that, they're still trying to wrap their head around psychology for a bit. So to put all of those skills together is very profitable, but it takes them a little while to learn it. So they need to in a way have that resilience so they can, get to the other side.
And so like,
and I think,
so you've been doing this for 10 years. Like, if you don't mind me
yeah,
asking, just out of curiosity, because I have not been working for 10 years, like I'm much more newer, like how much are you turning over now on a weekly basis in your business?
the highest that I've done by myself is about 250,000 in a year, which is, roughly $5,000 weeks-ish. But yeah, like that, what I found, like in order to go any higher, I would need to sort of put a team together. I've helped people put their teams together, and it's probably about time for me to put a marketing and sales and coach team together. But to kind of like take everything that I do and start turning it into departments that other people can do. I don't think I'd be able to do $1 million in a year without building a team.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the next thing. That's probably next year's goal. Sorry?
Is to build a team.
Yes.
That's awesome. Wow, you've come so far. Like 250K a year is like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of mates that have done a lot bigger. I love that saying of that someone else's success is not your failure, because like, there's always going to be someone who's bigger, or always someone who's doing more than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. It opens up a lot of options,
Yeah.
and buy what you want, do what you want, and then you can pay for ads and continue to scale.
Yeah.
I think that I would need to kind of also, like, in order to grow the team, I need to make sure that like my personal routines are in check as well, so that I'm looking after myself. I can turn up. I can give the right energy, give the right instructions to the team, and not sort of get tired and just sort of like say yes to things where I actually mean, hang on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And yeah, like organizing like the meetings on a particular day, so that so I can kind of scale that as well. Because like you're always like with a team, like the idea is like you don't just like get somebody and go, you're good, I'll keep you for life. It's like that person might leave, so you're always hiring, always training, and always managing performance a bit. So I've been lucky to kind of experiment in other people's business and grow their teams that way, which is then it means that I know that as I do it for myself next year, that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's crazy. You've had the confidence to sort of test those things on your clients, I suppose.
Yeah. Or even like with business partners and stuff where, because like I make really good sales in my stuff. Like I've sometimes like trained sales teams like without fully charging the proper amount for it, just because I just wanted the position. I just wanted the experience. And then, if you can see, so many people, like what I found I had to do, and it sort of took a bit of energy, is that like, say there's 5 of them, and I had to not only make time to do my marketing stuff and kind of run my business at the same time, but and train them, but I had to listen to their sales calls and get them to all film, record the audios for their sales calls and listen to them and tell them the bits that were going wrong. Because what I found is like, if you just tell people how to make sales, it could take them like a year to figure it out. But if you listen to their sales calls like every day, within a couple of weeks, that you've got like someone who's really great at it. You know how like you can tell somebody a step and they've heard your words, but they don't know exactly the context in which to apply it. Like if someone said, go make a 10K sale, it's easy. You're like, oh, cool. You say it's easy. Great. But you're like, is there a script? Oh, like, yeah, here's the script. Just go say it to your client. And there's things missing from the script because they don't know about the tone. They don't know how to answer particular questions. So they go kind of blank a little bit. Like in a sales call, like, there's particular events that need to occur. Like I kind of break it down into like, create greed, impact, and then urgency. So greed is like, do they actually want to be on the call? If not, then the other two can't happen. You can't create impact if they're not greedy for what you have. So there needs to be a problem that you're solving. And if you're not solving a problem, there's no way that they can say yes at the other end, because they didn't really want to be there in the first place. And then like, so once you've created greed, like they want something, then you can create impact and say, well, let me teach you something. Let me show you something that shows you like a bigger world, or something that kind of, that you can now see a path forward that's sort of easy for you to execute. And they go like, oh, cool, great. So they can actually feel the impact of that. Then when you then invite them to join your program, you create urgency and be like, okay, the next round starts Monday, and it's just, the payment plans are just this. And like, cool, I'll jump on board. Because there's first kind of like, there's learning it, there's getting through the nerves, and then there's like getting good at the sales, and then teaching it to somebody else. It's kind of like all over again, kind of like what you went through learning it, but with 5 people at once.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. So
And
have
they always say the same thing. It's like,
oh yeah, you go.
you know how like there's sales objections that a person can have, but
Yeah.
then there's the salesperson that you hire has their own frequently asked sort of salesperson objections, where they'll say like your product's too expensive, nobody wants to buy it, and then you've got to talk them through. Well, actually, it's not about that. It's just the most convenient thing a person can ever say to say no is they'll say it's too expensive.
Mm.
Whereas actually, they spend, let's say if they're
It's
a
never
smoker and they
about
spend
the money.
$200, yeah, like because they haven't created greed in the first place. And if they're not greedy for what you've got, even if it was free, they wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
Like if someone's got a bag of rubbish and go, "Do you want this? It's free." It's like no, because it's a bag of rubbish.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's there's a lot of skill stacking and skill development to get to that next level.
Yeah. And
Um,
um, have you helped people that have like literally never made a sale to then making heaps of sales?
yeah, once they're in a rhythm, it's easy. Um, some of the challenges can be like if they're a salesperson, that's a lot easier than if they're in their own business and they also need to get their own leads and then coach their own clients afterwards, because just their energy needs to be right, because as they're learning one skill, they could find that it affects their energy on their marketing or their coaching.
Yeah.
So it can be done, absolutely, but the person's going to have to be willing to go through that transformation.
Yeah, like I find that like I agree with that. I find that challenging. Like the whole sales process and all of that I find like and leads can be quite challenging and then because you're learning so many different things, it can just overwhelm other areas.
Yeah. Because there's also, like how Tony Robbins talks about people who are successful but unfulfilled.
Mhm.
Like, and people would go like, "Oh, that's not a real problem. If you've got money, you're happy." And be like, some people have actually built a prison for themselves,
Mm,
mainly because they haven't. Um, you know how with the client, you're supposed to care and not care at the same time. So, as in like care, as in be a caring person, but don't have strings that they can pull on.
mm,
Like when you're training a sales team or when you're coaching a client or a student, whatever you're doing, it's like that you need to be like your energy needs to be protected so that no matter what state they're in, that you're going to be okay, because then you've got the next person you're helping and then you've got the rest of your life that you're serving as well.
mm.
So you've kind of got to turn it into a game,
Yeah.
and be kind of it's kind of weird that it is a paradox. You got to be connected and disconnected at the same time.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true.
And it's something that I think it can't really be explained. It can only be experienced, or you can explain it, but the person can't get full comprehension. It's like swimming, that you can explain swimming all you like, but if they've never been in the water,
Yeah.
the words aren't going to land.
Yeah.
But if you're in the water, you'll be like, okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
but yeah, it's I think what's helped me a lot is the reason that I'm doing it, and like I do it because I'm attracted to growth,
Mm.
um, and it makes me happy, and it's something that even if I wasn't earning money, I'd do it for like another 10 years until I did.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is where
and
I
there's
like I'm at such an early stage where I still find it incredibly challenging, like every single day. But I know why I'm doing it. And it's for the same reason as you. Like, I love growing. And part of growing is being out of my comfort zone. And the other reason is I just love actually making that impact and helping people. Like, it just feels so good. And I agree with you that you can't have your strings attached in the sense that like you can't do the work for them, you can show them the way, but I love when they actually do the task or do the work and they get the results. Like it actually makes me so happy no matter how big or small their goal is. If they're doing things they weren't doing prior to working with me, then I'm extremely happy. So growth is like what drives me, but that does not mean it's easy. Like, I actually find this whole process incredibly difficult, but I know that there's not a single other thing I want to do. Like, this is all I want to do. So even though it's so like painful at times, I'm still just going to keep going until I figure it out, because like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know my why. Whereas if you don't have your why, like if I didn't know why I was doing this, there's no way I'd still be doing it because it's so
Yeah, exactly. Like if you want to get to the top, there's something that nobody can help you with. Like they can be your mate, they can give strategies, they could give money, they could even do your work for you a little bit for a while, but they can't make the decision that you're, you know, going to stay and keep doing it forever.
mm,
Like I
exactly.
reckon nobody can help with that. And no one should need to, because it, that's the part that, on day one, that's already there.
Mm, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I really think it's cool that, like, at this age that I can see in you how many skills have had to come together to do what you're doing now.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I still feel like I'm very much a beginner. And so when you asked me this, I felt like a little bit out of my comfort zone, not because I need to speak, not at all. I'm comfortable with that, but just because I'm not sure who's in your group, but I'm sure that some of them are probably like potentially doing better than me, like I'm very new to it, but um, I know a few things that have helped me to at least not give up. So I guess it doesn't like matter what level I'm at. There's no way I'm going to give up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think that, like, the way I introduce you as well, like I've got your bio, but there's the way I'll introduce as well is to talk about, like, how I found you and what I've seen you do.
Okay.
And in doing that, I'll be very literal to say, like, this is what got my attention, and this is why I think you guys should watch this video now.
Okay.
Um, because, like, there's different ways to judge, are they doing better or worse than you? It's kind of like, some of them might be doing better financially, but you have something to share with all of them, because um, they'll be able to see it in you. They'll be able to see that, that you're young, but they can sort of see that, like, as you, let's say you in 20 years, you're going to be a very different type of public speaker. You're going to be using different inclinations with your tone and all sorts of things.
Mm.
But they can also see that you can string a sentence together. You know that when you're on camera, the light needs to be on your face, so you're not like in a dark closet.
Yeah.
They can hear that you've got a business structure behind you. It's like that, that you attract people in, you get them to get to know you, you make a transformation, then you offer them coaching, and then you coach them. So, like, that is really cool. You've interviewed, is it just one person from Success Resources, or
She interviewed me. Like basically, she just wanted to share my story. That's the only person from Success Resources. Yeah.
oh, okay. Who does she directly work for? Like, is it
She worked
um
for Success Resources Australia.
okay.
Tony
so
Robbins. Australia.
so like Michael Lane and all of that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I could even sort of talk about, like, how the staff of Success Resources, and one of them's even interviewed you, and then
Mm.
I'll, for them, say, if they don't know what Success Resources is, like, whenever Tony Robbins goes anywhere in the world, Success Resources is the company that basically books him to go everywhere.
Yeah, literally. I forget
Yeah.
that.
Sorry.
Like I forget that. Um, like she interviewed me. That's pretty cool. When I think about it, I always forget that. But yeah.
It's that gratitude thing. Looking back sometimes, it's almost like pain relief sometimes. When you're tired and you look back and be like, oh, actually, I deserve to feel that I've done a lot,
Yeah.
because I have.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like, you've done a lot of things. Like, whereas, like, other people, like, what their struggles are is that they're not up to doing, like, what you're doing. So if you've decided that, you're going to do, whether it's a photo shoot and a banner and then a Facebook group, and then, set a date for a challenge and get people to come in, then however you had to set up a merchant or direct deposit details or whatever it is, it's like that you had to get a bank account for that, and then you had to then decide, what are you going to help people with, and
Mm.
all of that has to come from somewhere, and then you decided to go for it.
Mm.
um, and then also the exercise stuff that you'd said that you've done marathons.
I've done a marathon and a half marathon.
Okay, that's 1.5 more than me. um, yeah, so like you've done a lot of things, and I would say that all of that's come from like a very similar um, change or whatever that was in your life. What I'd
Mm.
love to, so when I ask you questions about kind of, can you show us a difference? Like, what's a time earlier in life before you were doing this? Like, can you relate to people who say, no, I'm not going to be on video,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I've got a pimple, or my voice is bad, or I think it's my face shape or something. It's not good. That everybody else is pretty, but not me, or whatever the self talk is. But
Yeah,
there's always something, and we all think that we're unique for saying it. Like
yeah.
that, I was the only person who was ever bullied in high school. Nobody else on this planet's ever experienced it.
Yeah,
Like, and people, they to say it out loud sounds ridiculous, but people still they live in a way that they believe that they're the only freak, they're the only weirdo.
yeah,
Like, well, we're all weirdos. Like,
yeah,
if anyone out there's normal, they're the weirdo.
yeah. And I'm yet to meet someone who thinks that they're the normal one.
Yeah,
Like it's
even kind of like
everyone has the fears and doubts.
yeah. So it'd be really cool if we could normalize that a bit. So in
Yeah,
talking
and
about like your yeah.
because
So whatever you
that's
say about your past.
a big part for me is like the fears and doubts, like that. I still have that, but I know to not listen to it too much. So, but it's not like I'm just immune to fears. Absolutely not. Like I have them. So, and I think everyone does. There's always that next level, but some listen to them and some don't. I suppose knowing that there's like the two
Yeah,
voices in your head.
exactly. Like I was the same. Like I literally was bullied in school quite a bit. I lacked social skills. What I found that like anybody who's gotten into personal development, whenever I ask them their story, they always tell me that it's to help other people. But when you dig a little bit deeper, it's usually that it was to solve their own deficiencies.
I agree with that. But
Like I
like
every time.
yeah, actually true. That's maybe like the deeper thing. Like for me, like I love seeing people I work with get results. But you're right, the probably initial drive was I was struggling with something and it was so painful and I overcame it and then I didn't want anyone else to feel that feeling because I know how to overcome it, so I want to share that as well. So it's like it's both, but sure the root cause that drive to help people sparked from going through that situation and having to overcome it myself. Yes.
Yeah. That's
Mm.
part of like if you think about any expert who you admire, they always have disciples.
Mm.
Like they're always a teacher of some kind.
Yeah.
Um, or like anyone you admire for anything, like even if it's like Steve Jobs, he had disciples too. Like
Yeah.
he was a teacher as much as anything else. Um, but it's part of like they learn it by teaching as well, that they learn by learning and doing. But then once they actually start having to express that to other people, that's actually where they actually start to figure it out like at a master level.
Mm.
Because then like they get all the nuances and they get kind of all of the questions that wouldn't have normally come up,
Mm.
like when they learned it, or like the struggle from someone else's angle.
Mm.
You ready to get started?
Yeah, I think we should. Like, I feel like you and I could talk for hours, which I love. But yeah, we should add value to people and like tell them about it as well.
Yeah. So I think like the way Zoom seems to do it is that it puts one of us on the screen at a time and just keeps like flipping back and forward.
Okay.
So whoever's making the most noise, it just chooses their face. So we're
Okay.
not going to be side by side.
Yeah.
So it'll be me first. You ready? And I'll start with the introduction.
Cool.
Hey everybody, this is Scott from Lawrence Hypnotherapy, and welcome to this video, a special bonus treat that I want to give you guys, because I know that perhaps lately you've been asking about like, well, there's the business steps and you want to be able to make, whether it's like, 6 figures in your business, you want to either help people with addiction, insomnia, anxiety, depression, all these different things. And to do that, you've got to be able to see your clients. You need to be able to give them a result. Also, what you need to be able to do is to be able to attract people into your business so that you can basically, keep the lights on, keep the doors open and all of that kind of stuff. And to do that, we've talked about a lot of the technical things, as it's, like basically, how do you advertise? How do you do a Facebook ad? How do you sell? How do you see a client? And all of those things. But also what we find sometimes is that there's an underlying issue that seems to be, there's the surface, there's above and there's below the surface. So above the surface is all of those technical questions, but beneath the surface, sometimes there's some personal growth stuff that really needs to be addressed in order to, like, whether it's your money that you want to improve, whether it's your relationships that you want to improve, whether it's your health that you want to be able to improve. But there's maybe like one thing that would actually improve all three, whether it's like your health, which impacts your relationships, or your relationships, which impacts your health and your money, or any of those things. What are the questions? What are the needle movers that are really going to make that difference in your life? And so today I've got the pleasure of interviewing Sophia Rose. And so at age just 23, which is incredibly young to be doing what she's doing right now, which is very inspiring, very incredible, such a genuine person. She's a life and relationship coach that helps women who are stuck, that basically feel that they don't know where they are in their life at the moment, or perhaps like they're lacking energy, they're lacking passion, any of those things, to be able to get that passion, to be able to get that courage, fulfillment, to know what they're doing, to know what their purpose is in their life and their relationships. And so, Sophia, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. Can you just tell us a little bit about you and what it is that you do?
Thank you so much for having me, first of all, and for the lovely introduction. So yeah, as you said, my name is Sophia, and I am a life coach. And I've been doing it for a few years now. I'm still early in the game, but I have decided to go all in with it. So I sort of burned all my boats and like just gone all in with it, and pretty much just done whatever I could to make it work. And it doesn't come challenge free. There's definitely lots of challenges, but I have a really strong reason as for why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for me, that's been a huge way to sort of keep going with it, even with all the challenges that come with running your own business, helping people, and learning these things, because life coaching is this new industry, especially here in Australia, anyways. There's not too much support around. It's not that normalized for, a lot of people we're surrounded by. So it's, we're doing a lot of figuring things out. And I think, yeah, having that strong reason as to why you're doing it has really helped me personally.
Yeah, I mean, part of what got my attention is like seeing how you've got a complete system that you're doing, that you're running your own business, you're supporting yourself financially from your own coaching practice. And I've seen that you've done, like, whether it's like the artwork you've had to do to get the business out there, running group challenges, like where that you show up in a Facebook live video days in a row, adding value to people, coaching them, and then offering them into your program as well. And there's a lot of skills in that need to be developed. And, knowing how to hold a camera, knowing how to speak, knowing how to, put a sentence together, and all these things are really impressive. That I've also seen that you've done, there was a full marathon, like the 42 kilometers, I think it is, and the half kilometer, the half kilometer, half marathon as well. And also you've been interviewed by one of the staff of Success Resources, the staff of Success Resources. So anyone who doesn't know who they are, that if you know Tony Robbins or any of the big speakers, but Tony Robbins, anytime he shows up anywhere on the planet, Success Resources is the company that basically they shuffle him all around the world. And so that being interviewed by them, so you're in touch with the right people. You're getting coached and you're basically networking with the right people. And it's really cool to see, like, basically what you've done. What I'm really curious about is, like, say, if there's a story that sort of takes you from, like, past to present, what some of the challenges that have come up putting that together? Let's say, like, if you didn't sort of just on day one say, I'm going to do it, and everything just clicked instantly. What's the challenge that you feel that, that other people might be experiencing right now, which is a past challenge that you had to overcome in order to get to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And yeah, so I guess a few years ago, I've gone through like numerous big challenges in my life, and they've all played a fundamental role. And at the time, obviously, they seemed like the worst thing in the world, like such a huge challenge and struggle and things like that. And I've some points I thought like, oh God, like my life is over kind of thing. But some of the main ones was when I was 16, I found out that my dad had a gambling addiction, and that really took a turn on my life because I was unaware about it. However, when I did find out, a lot of previous events in my life made a lot of sense about his behaviors and um, our family and things like that. And that was a really dark time because I was a teenager, and basically after finding that out, went through some serious family struggles, because we sort of found out at the rock bottom of it all. And it resulted in my mum, myself, my brother, and sister having to move overseas to move back with my mum's side of the family. Um, and start our whole life again. So we literally all went overseas with a suitcase each and started our life again. And to do that at age 16, when you have all your friends and your life and your little bubble and comfort zone, to leave all of that, watch your mum cry every day and your parents go through a divorce, and it was all out of your control. Like for me, that was a huge life event where everything just crumbled for me. And that took me years to get over. I developed so many fears and so much anger and hurt. It was more the emotions that came up for me, like so angry towards, my dad, and um, moving, like being forced to move overseas and all of these things. So I built up a lot of negative emotions. And for me, that really held me back. And I played small, and I was playing like the victim role and blaming people for why I was where I was at, and I took no responsibility. Um, yes, it was not my fault and it wasn't in my control, but it's still my responsibility, is what I've now learned to manage myself and my behaviors and my thoughts and actions and things like that. And I just took no responsibility of that. So I didn't move forward. Well, it felt like that, anyways, for like 4 years. I just lived in pain and struggle. Um, and then I came across Tony Robbins, and I started very slowly reading his books, and just to fast track this story, I then became obsessed with personal development because I realized that there wasn't just this one way. Like, I wasn't supposed to just have this life where I just suffer all the time. I realized that you can actually do things despite your circumstances to have a new life. And I honestly couldn't believe that because I was surrounded by people that weren't showing me that that was a possibility. I just thought, because I've had this event happen to me in my life, this is how my life was going to be. And I settled, and I didn't move forward, and I didn't, go out of my comfort zone at all. And, I had a very difficult 4 years. And being introduced to personal development and Tony Robbins really was the pathway. Like, it was the beginning for me to realize, wow, you can create the life you want to. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible. And that was a huge trigger for me. And then, yeah, after that, I just went through years of personal growth, and I started investing in myself a lot. And um, of course, when you do the work, you realize what struggles, when you go out of your comfort zone, all your fears and doubts come up. And so, one at a time, I've had to sort of go through them and work them out. So, I started by feeling I wasn't good enough, had to clear that out. Um, I thought, like, yeah, I'll never be successful. Like, um, that we all have all these fears and limitations that try and protect us and stop us from moving forward. So, like, you might think, I'm not confident, I'm not pretty, I'm not smart enough. Like, we always like have these beliefs and these thoughts. And it hasn't been easy, but I suppose what I've really had to do is just tackle them one at a time. And really, I've really had to learn and understand that I have the two voices in my head. There's one that's going to constantly try and bring me down and keep me safe and not allow me to move forward. And then there's the voice that knows I can have the life I deserve and desire. And it's always this battle, or this, experience of trying to learn to shut off the one that isn't served me, and then focus on the thoughts and beliefs that will serve me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That like there's the two different voices or the two wolves. The one that survives is the one that you feed.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, what I like about like in your bio, like where it says, as you help people that are stuck, lost, or feel like they're not enough. When you first started your own business, did those three things come up for you, or were they challenges that you had to get through in order to get to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me personally, I just figured if I want to help people, the best way I can just start and get out there is to help people with something I've been through. So I've been stuck, I've been lost, I've not felt good enough. And so I figured because I've learnt to overcome them through all the courses and coaches and seminars I've attended and things like that, I've slowly learnt to overcome that. And now I do feel good enough and I do have confidence and I am fulfilled and passionate and have clarity in my life. And that doesn't mean at all that everything's perfect and I never have moments of doubting myself or not feeling good enough. Of course those things come up, but for the most part I have the skills to learn to overcome that and things like that. And so I figured if I can overcome that and that was so transformational to my life, then I can help others do the same. So of course, yes, I chose to make my niche or my focus or target audience on something that I'm passionate about and something that I can relate to, because that way I can really be authentic and be myself when coming across to my target audience. So I build a relationship with them because I've been where they are. So
Yeah. So were you always comfortable basically just being on camera and coaching a group live, or did that develop as you did it more, or how did that come about?
yeah, so I before coaching, I had a YouTube channel, which took me years to build the confidence to even do that. And I just had it as a hobby. I never got paid to do it or anything like that. It was honestly just a hobby. And I remember still to this day how nervous I was to post the first video. But I had just reached such a threshold of for so long wanting to do it and not doing it that I one day just did it. And then once I did the first video, then I felt confident enough to keep going. And now on my YouTube channel, I have, hundreds and hundreds of videos on there. And you can, if you go back and watch the first one and then you go up, you can see my confidence actually transform because I really committed to that hobby for quite some years. I haven't been that active on there as that's not where my target audience is at the moment. However, I might go back to YouTube. But for a long time, like I committed to doing it consistently, and you can see my journey and how I transform. Actually, it's quite cool to look back on. And so yeah, definitely wasn't always confident. And then, but even when I had been on YouTube for years, to then do my first Instagram story where I was talking, I remember being so nervous. And I remember watching people on Instagram who were doing that. I was like, oh my God, how do they have the confidence to talk to, their followers who they know on social media and do that? I had all these thoughts about, oh my God, what are they going to think, blah, blah, blah. But one day I just did it. And then once you do it once, it just gets easier and easier. And then the same with Facebook. If you go and watch my very first Facebook Live, I am shaking. I am so nervous, but I knew like I have to get out of my comfort zone and do these steps. Like my audience is on there. I need to connect with them. And so I did that. But yeah, I was definitely nervous to begin with. But yeah, practice makes progress. So I just kept going no matter how messy it felt.
Yeah, and you're really doing great. So there's things that we hear people say in their heads, or the self-talk that they then sometimes say out loud. So like when they're, let's say, like trying to get a client base for themselves, things that I hear people say, perhaps like it's like, I'm too old, or I'm not techy enough, or that it could be not pretty or handsome enough, or that my voice isn't right, or that I can't charge a client for what I do, or whether it's like I can't get a client a result, or any of those fears, or like what if people become angry, what if I post, what if I bother my family too much with that I've posted online and they don't like it, or my friends don't like it, or I don't want my high school friends to see it, or like what if, like, say, if I'm posting to my group, or sorry, if I'm posting on my news feed, what if my friends aren't my target market, and all those things that people say. um have you found, have those or any of those kinds of words come up for you when you started?
Yeah, so I think just about every single one of those phrases you just said, I've had. I've had all of them. Not the I'm too old one. For me it was I'm too young. That was the belief that I had in my mind. So I didn't
Yeah.
have the confidence to contact people or do this in the beginning because people told me I was too young. Like, why would I pay a 23-year-old to help me? They're the kind of thoughts I had in my mind. So yeah, I've thought all of those things, like what's my family gonna think? What's my friends gonna think? Like, am I annoying people too much? Like, I don't know how to sell. Like, I've literally had all of those beliefs and they're still there. I can hear them. They're just a lot smaller in my head now. But yeah, I've had all of them. And the best thing I can say is, again, those thoughts are going to come up. So it's just about normalizing it a little bit and just being kind to yourself and choosing to choose the more empowering thought. Because if you listen to the disempowering ones too much, it can overtake your mind and then you believe it. And that's not what you want. And so that's one thing. And then the other thing, again, like I've said, that really helps is going back to why you're doing it. So of course the thoughts can come up that I'm too young or that my friends will judge me or whatever, but I know why I'm doing it. And if I can just remember that, then that's more powerful than all of those beliefs combined.
Absolutely. As we say, that thoughts are things,
Yeah.
and what you focus on, or where thought goes, energy flows. Um, and it does seem like, whether we can sort of explain it through science or not, and I do prefer to only say things that I can back up or prove, but I do like this one. It's that, like, if you expect something, you're probably going to get it, or find a way to make it happen. And yeah, it's been really great sort of seeing in the last 5 days in your group. You've taken people from basically from one state of being to another state. Can you talk us through that? Like, what happened in the last week in that group?
Yeah, so I have a private Facebook group called Sophia Rose Coaching, and basically I invite my target audience in there. It's mainly women, but there are men like yourself and things like that in the group as well. And basically, that's just a place I add a lot of free value. Like, I just add as much value as possible because I want to help people and I also want to build relationships with people. And I found that that's a really good way to do that, is to build a community where people can have this safe place that they can open up in and participate in. And one of the ways I give value in the group is every now and again I'll do a 5-day free challenge, because I feel it's so easy on social media apps to just keep scrolling. There's always something else exciting, to scroll through. Whereas a challenge is something, you have to make a commitment to, and it's something specific you can show up to every day for those 5 days. And, I'll give away free gifts or, have some sort of incentive to help people feel committed, like give them a reason to show up and a task to do. And I'll really encourage them and support them. And yeah, so I find out where they are at the beginning of the 5 days, and I usually have a theme of something I'll talk about. So my most recent one was all about self love and, filling up your cup and, feeling more love towards yourself and others. And so at the beginning of the challenge, I find out where they are. And then I add value every day and I teach them something. And then I give them a really simple action step to take at the end of that. And then, they have that night to act on that, ready for day 2, and we go like that. And then if you do the steps and they're easy enough and I keep them accountable and I check up on them, you're going to get results. And then because they've committed, I make sure they commit in the beginning. And once they start, they so often feel better afterwards because they're actually implementing all of these things. So yeah, that's something I like to do in the group.
Yeah, that's really awesome, because, like, from what I've seen, I loved how you broke it into several categories. So from basically things like knowing what it is that you want and why you're here, to then kind of like having a path forward, but then also like self-care stuff, as in, like, the red flags that we should be looking for in our lives, whether it's kind of where are we burning out, or like where are we in a way kind of like sabotaging ourselves, like either through our health or through our relationships, through our attitudes, or however it is that it sort of creeps up, that we can sort of develop a certain amount of success, and then maybe it's another area of our life that can be letting us down, like whether it's kind of like toxins, whether it's emotional or whether it's literally toxins, kind of like the things that people are putting into their body. And that would be something that I would say that you would take quite seriously, in kind of the marathon stuff, that you wouldn't be drinking kind of like wine for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
Because long term what that would do, versus kind of like, it might seem kind of like a pain relief one night, or kind of a really great social element one night. But if too many days of it stack up in a row, it starts to steal other things from your life, which, and you've got this event coming up actually called, was it the 5 steps to create momentum? And
Yeah.
so could you tell us about like that, what's going to happen? What can people expect? Like, what are the 5 steps about?
Yeah, sure. So I've decided to create a webinar, which is like an online Zoom event that I'm doing on the 29th of October. So that's in a few days. And yeah, it's called the 5 steps to create momentum in your life. And the reason I've decided to create that is because that's something I see a lot of people struggle with. There's definitely a lot of people that have no idea what they want to do in their life, and they lack clarity. But there's also people that know what they want but do not have um, the motivation or the momentum to sort of do something about it because of fear or whatever's in the way. So I wanted to create something really simple. So it's literally just 5 steps, and I've broken it down into the most simple thing that people can act on. So basically, I'm a very structured and organized person. So I've made sure that this event is I share a piece of information for the first step, and then I have an action step for that. And I do the same for all 5 steps. And basically, with the 5 steps, you walk away with, 5 bits of information, but that you can actually act on. That's really important to me because for me, like, I love the saying that knowledge is only potential power. It's only powerful if you do something with it. So I don't like people, when you learn something new, like it can be really overwhelming because you just have all of this information. But I've created it so it's so simple. It's like, oh, that makes sense. This is what I have to do to actually implement that step. So yeah, I basically created 5 steps that I have personally used and implement in my life to build that momentum no matter what's going on in your life or um, what struggles you're going through. And it's completely free. I just want to add value and build relationships with people. And basically in the event you'll learn how to take full ownership of your life. I'll teach you how to set goals that actually last using a formula I've created. I will talk a lot about developing belief systems that move you towards your desired life and also implementing millionaire success habits. And what I mean by that is, I really believe we are just an accumulation of habits. It's what we do frequently, is who we are. And so our habits are really important. And I'm really big on implementing healthy habits in your life that set you up your day, like for your day. And, once you've created a habit, it's automated and it's easy. And I think a lot of the time, we might struggle in our business or our life or whatever because it feels like we just have so much we need to do and think about. But if you create healthy habits, it feels like everything's just flowing for you. And so I'm really big on how you start your day. So that's something I cover. And then I just talk about also like how to create lasting change because there's no point in me talking about something or adding value if it's not something that is sustainable. And so I make sure that this is not something you just implement for 24 hours and then you forget about it. It's something you can keep going with. So yeah, that's what the event will be all about.
I love it. And I've seen what you've done over the last week with the people in your group, and what I would expect, guys, like if you can join this, if like say that you're someone, like whether it's in your business and your life, you just need a boost. You need to get focused, and that perhaps like maybe it's a courage thing that's holding you back. Maybe that like there's some fear moving forward. Maybe like this year, it's just been a very different year from
Yeah.
very other years. And if whether you're already doing really well and you want to maintain it or go further, or whether maybe like you're just starting out and that there's kind of like an energy that you've been carrying that it's time to get rid of, or there's an energy in there somewhere that you need to kind of actually let out somehow. What I've seen Sofia do in the last week has created a lot of transformation for a lot of people. And I absolutely recommend that you get onto this webinar and see for yourself, like give yourself this permission to be able to go through the exercises, not just turn up, but really kind of give yourself to these exercises, because you're going to get a lot out of this. We're going to have the link down below so that people can basically, to get to know you, to get onto the webinar. Is there any form of, like, would you say like just a closing bit of advice you give to people if they basically just want to become like a more confident person?
Sure. Thank you for all of that, by the way. The most important thing I guess I would say is probably just do it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because so often, and it actually makes me sad to think about, but so often we just let fear stop us. And we all have this fear, and I have it too. I'm sure Scott has fears about something. Like, we all have that fear. And so for me, it's just like, feel it and do it anyway, because I'm sure if anyone's like, if you're still watching this right now, then I think this is important to you and this means something to you, and therefore I'm sure you have something in your life that you really care about, that and you really want it. And so don't let fear stop you. It's gonna come up. So I think so often, and I felt like this for a long time, that we're not supposed to have the fear, and that we can't do anything until all the fear's gone. But I've found that it doesn't go away. It might get smaller, or it could go away depending on what it is, but it will mainly go away through, a lot of inner work, or otherwise just doing it anyway. Once you do it and you push through it, then the fear will disappear. But if you wait for it to go away, you're just going to waste so much time, and you're going to develop all these beliefs, and you just, won't take action. And I know so many people that are watching this have this big goal, or this business, or this desired life they want. And I don't want fear to get in the way for anyone. So I would just recommend just push through, like get a really strong, like powerful why you're doing this, and just do whatever it takes to get there.
Perfect. And Sophia, thank you so much for talking to us. And everybody, thank you so much for watching. Click the button, get onto the webinar, and it's really going to do a lot of good for you. We'll
Thank
see you
you
guys
so
later.
much. See ya.
Cool. All right, I'll end the recording there.
Cool.
How do you feel about that?
Yes, like easy. You're so easy to talk with, and you're very like, you're really good at what you do. Like, I think you should be so proud of yourself, honestly. Like, you make things easy.
Thank you. Yeah, like as you said, how you're structured.
Yeah,
I quite like structure.
I can
Hey,
see.
if I give you kind of like a link to like one of my group things that you can see like something that I've been doing recently. And then there's a resource page. You can see like all 21 days of my last challenge that I did. If you want to see kind of like how I ran it, I can like put you in that, and you can just sort of check out the links if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Because I think that kind of like when I was telling about like my other group, I'm not sure if I'd sent you a link or not, but I saw that you joined it. Did you look that up, or did I?
You told me on the phone what it was, and I figured that's where the Zoom was going to be. So I typed it up as I was on the phone to you and joined it.
Yeah, like that's really cool. Just being proactive. Like it's how like you can tell if somebody's going to be doing something like really awesome in the future, just based on like a few things. And it's like it's not always to do with just like what they're earning right now. It's to do with like so many other things, and the passion, obviously, the willingness to put yourself out there and to grow. But yeah, like I really admire like what you're doing, like with because sometimes it can be a little bit almost like what they say, like lonely at the top, like where you probably don't have like 50 mates that are doing the same thing as you. Oh, you just turned the light off for the
Yeah, like I'm just so scared because I'm gonna leave the office in a minute, and I'm just scared I'm gonna leave that light on, so I just thought I'd turn it off. But yeah, I can still see fine.
Yeah. I was just wondering if that was my eyes or if that was something that you did.
No, I've still got a light on. I just thought I'd turn one off.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was like really good. And so like it'll take me like about a day or something to edit, and then if you like, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, sure. Like, you can send me because you've recorded this whole thing. Like, I'm happy to just have like the raw version of it, like this whole thing if you like, and then um obviously I'll see the final version in the group or whatever. I'm happy with anything. Like don't feel like you have
Yeah.
to edit anything for me.
Yeah, I'm happy to send both to you. All I'd want to do is for putting it out is just to chop off the beginning and end
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
feel
of
like the
course.
the middle doesn't need an edit.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, feel free to share this either version with your list as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I would send the edited one because like this is just a conversation between you and I. But yeah, like I'm happy to just have the raw version as well, like whatever.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we should talk again soon.
Definitely.
I've got to do some, personal care stuff before going to bed, and I promised myself an earlier bedtime at the start of this week. So, and I think you were saying like, what do you get up like at 5 or something, or?
I tend to usually, yeah. Like tomorrow I'll be up at 5 because I've got my group coaching program in the morning. But
Yeah.
I also listen to my body. Like if I really need sleep, then I might sleep until like 6 or 7 or whatever. But I
Yeah,
can't usually sleep past that. Yeah, early riser now. But yeah, I tend to aim for 5 because I like doing my workout early in the morning, getting that over
yeah.
with.
What's a time that you'd probably aim to get to bed usually?
Probably 9 o'clock or 9:30. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
9 or 9:30.
'cause I used to do like 1 and 2 every morning, and I could tell that it just wasn't what my body needed.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Like I'm not perfect. There'll be some days where I go to bed later, like if I'm, with people or whatever, or have an event on or something. But I do. I'm trying to like be really consistent with my morning and nighttime routine, just because yeah, sleep's important, or the quality of sleep is. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'd better head off.
Yeah,
And
likewise. Thank you for this though. I appreciate it. It was fun.
yeah, absolutely. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see ya.
Bye.